Rampage Jackson nearly killed a man at a wrestling show? Today I'm going to be discussing the incident that happened very recently at KnokX Pro Wrestling event held on August the 23rd, 2025 at the KnokX Pro Wrestling Academy in the Sun Valley neighborhood of LA, California. The confrontation was streamed live on Kick.com and occurred in front of a live audience including children. So who is Rampage Jackson? Rampage Jackson is a 25-year-old amateur MMA fighter and the son of former UFC light heavyweight champion Quinton Rampage Jackson. He is trained in martial arts with some amateur bouts under his belt, but he isn't a professional fighter under major promotions like the UFC or Bellator. According to his father, Rampage Jackson, Rampage wasn't trained in the fundamentals of pro wrestling, which is why he treated the KnokX Pro match more like a real fight than a scripted performance. He wasn't a contracted performer. He was invited as a special guest / trainee appearance, the kind of thing indie promotions sometimes do to add buzz to their events. Sources close to the situation say Rampage was interested in testing himself in pro wrestling while still having ambitions in MMA, kind of using his father's connections and his combat background to explore a second career path. The show was being streamed on Kick.com and Rampage himself was streaming parts of the event. That's why his comments about things not being scripted were caught on camera. It seems he wanted to stand out and make a name for himself. So let's talk about what actually happened, what invoked this attack. There was backstage tension before the match. Earlier in the night, Syko Stu, real name Stuart Smith, slapped or struck Rampage Jackson with a beer or canned drink during a backstage segment.
What, you don't know me?
Hell no. Yeah.
Hey, I think that's a little.
Oh, you don't know it?
Easy. He's not a fucking worker, bro. Calm down.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
You're good.
What the fuck was that?
You don't sell it?
Dude, he's not a fucking
Bro.
worker, bro.
What the fuck was that? Hold on. I don't play that shit, bro.
Oh, sorry about
Nah,
that.
I will fuck him
we're
up,
good.
bro.
I know
No,
you will.
no.
We're good.
I will
Sorry,
fuck.
He said that he had thought Rampage Jackson was another wrestler and did it to build hype for the show. Although it appeared to be a part of the show, Jackson didn't take this very well. And I don't really blame him, to be honest. If someone smashes a can over your head, I wouldn't be very happy either. After Syko Stu was told that he wasn't a wrestler, he immediately apologised. The two seemed to patch things up with a handshake and apology, reinforcing the idea that it was part of a planned wrestling angle. Rampage Jackson wasn't happy even after the handshake and even refused to shake his hand at first.
Rampage.
No, bro.
Go ahead, Stu. This one.
Just after, another wrestler took him to the side and told him to give him his receipts, which in wrestling lingo means basically give him payback.
You can give him his receipt. Remember what a receipt is? Give him that receipt, bro. Tag this.
When a wrestler stiffs you, hits too hard, goes off script or disrespects you, you return the favour with a real strike or rough move to even things out. It's part of locker room culture, but usually kept within safe limits. So Syko Stu was in the middle of a wrestling match and Rampage Jackson was in the audience. He appeared very nervous and it seemed like his adrenaline was through the roof. During the match, Rampage Jackson stormed into the ring, slammed Syko Stu to the mat and landed more than 20 consecutive punches to his unconscious body. The slam actually knocked Syko Stu out. Rampage Jackson's son didn't stop there. He then climbed on top of him and then smashed him 20 times with his fists. I mean, you can literally see in the video, the guy's out and his head is bouncing around like Michael Bisping said, like a pinball machine. The entire sequence was streamed live on Kick.com, including moments where Jackson declared it wouldn't be scripted, suggesting premeditated aggression. Obviously, whilst this is all going on, everyone didn't know what to do. They were thinking, is this scripted? Is this not? But then they realised that he was actually out and these were real punches being landed on this guy's unconscious body. Only then did they jump in and restrain Rampage. Jackson was eventually pulled off by other wrestlers and security, but not before the damage had already been done. KnokX Pro Wrestling condemned the incident as selfish, irresponsible and reprehensible. stating that it had never experienced anything as egregious in its history. Meanwhile, Kick banned Rampage Jackson from the platform for violating its rules on excessive violence. Well, there's one way of putting it. Rampage Jackson, after the incident, swiftly left the building angry and pumped up on adrenaline. He was mouthing off to the camera, saying, "I'm tired of people fucking with me. I don't play that shit."
Tired of playing with me, bro. Real.
Obviously his adrenaline's probably through the fucking roof. He's just jumped into a wrestling ring and just pounded the living shit out of this unconscious guy. If you watch the video, it's kind of disturbing, to be honest. Like, you can just see like the amount of blood on this guy's head. Jesus fucking Christ, man. The Los Angeles Police Department is investigating the incident. No arrests have been made yet, but the LAPD filed a report and is reviewing the live stream and the footage. Syko Stu, the wrestler, was actually left in critical condition. Smith is now reported to be awake and stable, though he suffered facial fractures and lost multiple teeth, which is just crazy to me, you know? All that because he's crushed a can on his head. Like, I don't condone smashing a can on someone's head. I mean, you should definitely deserve a smack for doing that. Maybe not attempted murder though. I'm just saying. It would have been probably fine, and he probably wouldn't have received any backlash whatsoever if after the can had been crushed on his head that he just gave him a smack. Gave him one punch, one smack, and then it would have all been done. This was really, really, really unnecessary. This guy could have died that day. Yeah, all over a can. I mean, I'm no expert in martial arts. I do enjoy watching UFC, MMA, boxing, you know, all sorts of combat sports. But one thing I do know about combat sports is that it teaches you discipline. It teaches you how to be a trained fighter, to be able to hurt someone, but to be able to control it as well. Because you are essentially a trained killer with your bare hands. You need to bear some responsibility and maturity because you're trained and other individuals are not, so you could very easily kill them. So you need discipline with martial arts, and to be honest, martial arts is supposed to teach you discipline. I don't know where this guy was. I don't know if he missed that lesson. I don't know if he's just doing it for more ego than anything else, but this was wrong, what he did there. One punch when he was unconscious would have been more than enough. It would have, you know, some people would have said that was too much, but 20? What are you trying to prove at that point? All this vented up anger and nervousness and emotion when he was watching the match, it all poured out in this moment. He could have killed the guy. Very easily could have killed the guy. Especially seeing as he is a trained martial artist. He knows how to punch. He's clearly young, athletic. He can probably punch bloody hard. There was blood going everywhere. It was like watching a murder. And you got to think, obviously, as well, there were kids in the audience. There were kids, there were families. No doubt the guy's family was probably watching the stream as well. I don't know if they were there or not. I'm pretty sure they weren't, because otherwise it would have said. But either way, this is messed up. I mean, imagine watching your dad being like smashed to bits in there, like for real, like, oh man. Smith's family and fans have rallied to support his recovery. A GoFundMe crossed $50,000 very quickly. Influencers like Sophie Rain, an OnlyFans star, and Mr. Beast expressed willingness to help cover his medical bills. Smith's brother confirmed he is conscious and recovering and discouraged unofficial fundraising efforts. Let's talk about the background of Syko Stu, real name Stuart Smith. He left the military in 2009, having served in the US Army. After his service, he faced post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. He has discussed publicly how returning to military life had been a challenge. Lots of military guys have the same problem when they come back from serving in the military or the army. They struggle to incorporate themselves back into normal society. He turned to professional wrestling, debuting in around 2017 with KnokX Pro, as a constructive means to regain focus, rebuild purpose, and mitigate anxiety tied to PTSD. Crowds and the performative nature of wrestling paradoxically helped ease his arousal symptoms by channeling adrenaline into performance rather than anxiety. He said that wrestling in front of large crowds was nothing compared to the army, and it's probably true. The thing that fucks me off about this whole thing is this guy actually had a wife and child too. His wife was nearly widowed after this incident. His child was nearly left fatherless because of this. It was all captured live. His near death plastered all across the internet, which would have been beyond heartbreaking if that had happened. Rampage Jackson is a trained fighter, like I said, so you have to learn self-control and discipline along with martial arts. And another thing that I want to say, why didn't anyone step in sooner? It was very obvious that this guy was not awake, he was not conscious, and it was very real that these punches were real. His head was bouncing around like all else, and the referee could probably hear the impact. This was very obviously not staged at that point. This had gone beyond staged. So why didn't anyone step in sooner? A lot of them were just stood there watching it happen, and then only after he landed the 20th punch did they do anything. I don't understand that, to be honest. That referee is a shit referee. He should have stopped it about 10-15 seconds before he did, and the guy probably wouldn't have lost his teeth, and he probably wouldn't have nearly died. So let's talk about Rampage Jackson's take on this, his father. Quinton Rampage Jackson called the attack poor judgment and a work gone wrong. He emphasised Raha is an MMA fighter, not trained for pro wrestling, and cited Raha's recent concussion in sparring as a contributing factor. And there is actually a video of this. So one of Raha Jackson's sparring partners had thrown a really hard tornado kick to Raha Jackson's head, which in the video clearly shows Jackson stunned and wobbly after the impact. This is very poor sparring etiquette, by the way, on behalf of the sparring partner. You shouldn't throw kicks like that in sparring, because it's really hard to actually control the power of these sorts of kicks, you know, because if you're jumping up in the air, you're using your whole body weight in that kick anyway. So you shouldn't really be throwing that in sparring. Obviously, because of this, social media erupted with calls for justice. A Change.org petition demanding Raha's arrest for attempted murder rapidly gained signatures. Wrestlers and fans described the incident as disturbing and deplorable, which I'm inclined to agree. The recent incident has brought attention to his family. Contessa Patterson initiated a GoFundMe campaign to support his recovery, which has raised over $50,000. Let's talk about the legal ramifications. Legal experts note Raha could face criminal charges ranging from felony assault to aggravated battery, and civil lawsuits for damages. The promotion and venue could also face scrutiny for negligence. I'm inclined to agree with that. Why didn't anyone jump in there sooner, I do not know, but fuck me, that was mental. It is actually said that Raha Jackson could be facing up to 10 years in prison. I think that's fair. You know, he tried to take that guy's life in there. That was pure anger. That was pure aggravation. It went way further than what it should have done. However angry you are at this guy for smashing a can on his head, and I'm not condoning smashing any cans on someone's head. I'm not saying that he was right in doing that. Probably not. He was probably trying to stir up, you know, a bit of excitement, a bit of what's the word? He's trying to make a show out of it. This probably happens a bit more often in wrestling groups. You know, they'll do stuff to try and wind each other up, to get each other to really perform well on the night. And to be fair to the guy, when he found out that he wasn't a wrestler, he did say sorry. And you've got to also take into account as well, a lot of these wrestlers, they have a lot of brain trauma. It's the same with MMA fighters, probably a bit more for MMA fighters because they're getting punched in the head. But wrestlers have been thrown all around the ring, you know, in their career. You know, it's no surprise that some of them had like head trauma and stuff. I mean, I can't remember exactly the wrestler's name, but I know that there was a wrestler who had severe head trauma. He ended up killing his whole family, you know. It's a real thing, and I'm not excusing what he did, Syko Stu. I'm not defending what he did, but he didn't deserve what he got. Do you know what I'm saying? And as for Raha Jackson, that was genuinely deplorable what he did. No matter how angry, how resentful, how aggravated you are, you don't try and kill someone at a wrestling show in front of children. Yeah, that was pretty messed up, and I really hope that he learns from this. This is the thing, like, Raha Jackson is not a 15-year-old testosterone-fueled, puberty-ridden guy, you know? He's not going through puberty, he's not young and naive, he's 25 years old. The frontal cortex is already fully developed at this point. He hasn't a adult brain at this point. It's fully developed. So you can't really say that it's because he's young and, you know, he doesn't know any better. He should know better. He's 25 years old. He's not 15, he's 25. So final thoughts, genuinely disturbing. I mean, if you watch the video, it's just like, oh man, you can't imagine, like, you know, being the son or being the daughter of this guy and just seeing your dad's head being battered around when he's unconscious. It's genuinely disturbing and like upsetting, to be honest. And this really just goes to show how you really need to take your martial arts seriously. You need to learn discipline. You need to learn self-control, because you could easily kill someone, and it is actually, it can make the sport look bad. It can paint MMA to look almost like it's a brutish sport where all these thugs go around like trying to kill each other with their hands, and that's not what MMA is for the most part. You know, obviously it's a bit of a violent sport, but essentially it's a game of tag. And a lot of these MMA fighters, they have self-control, they have discipline. It takes a lot of self-control and discipline to get to the top of any sport, let alone MMA. If anything, it just goes to show how mature Rampage Jackson has become, because when he was younger, obviously I'm not gonna, you know, talk badly about him. He was very funny when he was fighting. You know, his interviews with Ariel Helwani was hilarious. Like, I still watch them to this day. They're really funny. But you can tell by the way he's reacted to this incident that he has matured. You know, he sent his condolences to the wrestler, and he's been very mature about the way he's sort of dealing with it, you know, which is nice to see. And Rampage Jackson, in the videos of him and his dad, it seems like there's not a lot of respect there for his dad. Like, if Rampage Jackson was my dad, I'd be respectful as fuck, do you know what I'm saying? But it's also just the fact that he's your dad, and he tells him to fuck off and all of that stuff, and it just leaves a bit of a sour taste in my mouth, to be honest. Like, this guy's not a little kid. He's not a 13-year-old annoying brat. He's a 25-year-old guy, you know? He shouldn't be telling his dad to fuck off and all of that. And, you know, I get, obviously, that's probably part of their family dynamic, but in my family dynamic, you have respect for your parents, you know? You don't tell them to fuck off. You don't, you know, square up to them all the time. You don't be combative with them all the time. It just goes to show what kind of a character this guy is. So let me know in the comments section down below if you want me to comment further on this, you want me to cover more of this as more news comes out, if he gets convicted or not. Leave a like, leave a subscribe. Don't forget to turn the bell notifications on so you get notified every time I post a new video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.